The top 10 richest countries in the world by GDP in 2025. So, picture this. You're scrolling through your bank app and seeing a balance of $7.50, maybe 15 if it's payday and you've been surviving on instant noodles. Now imagine being a country and flexing trillions of dollars in your national account. Yeah, nations don't just check their bank balances, they practically print money, invest, export, and throw GDP figures around like monopoly cash. Welcome to the top 10 richest countries in the world by GDP in 2025, where economies aren't just big, they're colossal. From giants with billions of citizens to smaller nations punching above their weight, this list is proof that money doesn't just talk, it screams. Stick around, because we're counting down from 10 to 1, and trust me, the number one spot might not surprise you, but the journey there will. And hey, before we dive in, do the rich thing. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss more fascinating breakdowns like this. All right, let's count those trillions. Number 10, Brazil. Region, South/Latin America. Founded, September 7, 1822. Projected population, 2025, 213 million. Current leader/head of state, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. GDP 2025 estimate, US dollars 2.125 trillion. GDP/PPP, US dollars 9.96 thousand. Kicking things off at number 10, we've got Brazil, the land of samba, football legends, carnival parades, and yes, a $2.1 trillion economy. Brazil isn't just a party nation, it's the largest economy in Latin America and a global powerhouse when it comes to agriculture. Think soybeans, coffee, your morning cup probably owes Brazil a thank you, and beef exports that fuel entire supply chains. With a population of over 213 million, Brazil balances massive domestic consumption with an export game that keeps dollars flowing. Lula da Silva is steering the ship once again, and while inequality remains a challenge, Brazil's GDP proves it's a heavyweight. Sure, their GDP per capita (PPP) sits at just under 10K, so not everyone is living like Neymar, but Brazil is the kind of country that shows size does matter in global economics. Number 9, Canada. Region, North America. Founded July 1, 1867. Projected population, 2025, 41.5 million.
Current Prime Minister,
Mark Carney. GDP 2025 estimate, US dollars 2.225 trillion. GDP/PPP, US dollars 53.56 thousand. At number 9, we head north, way north, to Canada, where politeness is free, but the economy is worth trillions. With just over 41 million people, Canada manages to squeeze out a GDP of $2.2 trillion, and that's no small feat. Canada's secret sauce? Natural resources, tech, finance, and a highly educated workforce. Oil sands, maple syrup, okay, not GDP-breaking, but iconic, and a banking system that rivals Wall Street, put Canada among the richest nations. Under Mark Carney's leadership, Canada continues its reputation as a global middle power with big influence. And with a GDP/PPP of $53,000 per person, Canadians may spend half the year in winter coats, but at least they're warm inside their wallets. Number 8, Italy. Region, Europe. Founded March 17, 1861. Projected population, 2025, 59 million. Current leader/head of state, Giorgia Meloni. GDP 2025 estimate, US dollars 2.422 trillion. GDP/PPP, US dollars 41.09 thousand. Coming in at number 8, it's Italy, the birthplace of pizza, fashion, Ferraris, and Rome itself. But beyond culture and cuisine, Italy flexes a GDP of $2.4 trillion in 2025. Italy isn't just surviving, it's thriving. Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni leads a nation that, despite political ups and downs, continues to remain an economic pillar of Europe. With 41K in GDP/PPP, Italians may argue over whether pineapple belongs on pizza, but no one argues with the numbers, because in Italy, style and substance somehow always go hand in hand. 7. France. Region, Europe. Founded September 22, 1792. Current republic, October 4, 1958. Projected population 2025, 68.6 million. Current leader, head of state, Emmanuel Macron. GDP 2025 estimate, $3.21 trillion. GDP PPP, $46.39 thousand. At number 7, we land in France, where fine wine, Haute couture and Michelin star dining meet a whopping GDP of $3.21 trillion. France's economy thrives on luxury goods, aerospace, nuclear energy, and tourism. Paris alone attracts tens of millions of visitors annually, dropping euros into cafes, fashion boutiques, and the occasional overpriced croissant. President Emmanuel Macron oversees a country that is not only rich in culture, but also in economic clout. With nearly 46K in GDP PPP per capita, France proves that whether it's fashion or finance, they know how to set global trends and remind the world that joie de vivre can also be an economic strategy. 6. United Kingdom. Region, Europe. Founded, 1707, Acts of Union. Projected population 2025, 69 million. Current leader, Keir Starmer. Head of state, King Charles III. GDP 2025 estimate, $3.89 trillion. GDP PPP, $54.95 thousand. Sliding into 6th place is the United Kingdom, where tradition meets trillions. With $3.89 trillion GDP, the UK shows that despite Brexit, economic resilience is still in their DNA. The UK's economy is powered by finance, tech, pharmaceuticals, and creative industries. London remains one of the world's financial capitals, while exports range from high-tech to Harry Potter merch, proving that Britain knows how to cash in on both science and storytelling. Tourism also adds billions to the mix, with millions flocking to see everything from Big Ben to Buckingham Palace. With Keir Starmer as Prime Minister and King Charles III as monarch, the UK's leadership represents both fresh politics and centuries-old continuity. And with nearly 55K in GDP PPP per capita, the Brits can keep calm and carry on, preferably with tea in hand, a reminder that even in uncertain times, the island nation still knows how to brew prosperity. 5. Japan. Region, Asia. Founded, 660 AD, traditional. Modern democracy, May 3, 1947. Projected population 2025, 123 to 124 million. Current leader, head of state, Shigeru Ishiba. GDP 2025 estimate, $4.186 trillion. GDP PPP, $33.96 thousand. Breaking into the top 5, we have Japan, a country where anime, bullet trains, and cutting-edge technology coexist in harmony. Japan's GDP in 2025 stands at $4.186 trillion, proving that innovation is their national superpower. From electronics to automobiles, Japan's exports dominate globally. Brands like Toyota, Sony, and Nintendo aren't just companies, they're cultural icons that have shaped how the world drives, plays, and connects. Despite facing demographic challenges with a shrinking and aging population, Japan continues to remain one of the richest and most influential economies in the world, thanks to its relentless focus on research, robotics, and high-value industries. Shigeru Ishiba is at the helm, steering Japan into a future that blends tradition with innovation, from green energy investments to AI-powered technologies. And with 33K in GDP per capita, life in Japan is as futuristic as it is prosperous, where centuries-old temples stand beside neon-lit megacities, reminding us that progress and heritage can thrive side by side.
And soon, Japan is set to turn another historic page. Sanae Takaichi, the incoming prime minister and the first woman to ever hold the office, will inherit a resilient and forward-looking economy when the new government takes shape later in October 2025. It's a new era for Japan, one where innovation meets inclusion and the world is watching closely.
4. India. Region, Asia. Founded, August 15, 1947. Projected population 2025, 1.46 billion. Current leader or head of state, Narendra Modi. GDP 2025 estimate, $4.19 trillion US dollars. GDP PPP, $2.88 thousand US dollars. At number 4 is India, home to Bollywood, cricket fanatics, and the world's largest democracy. With a staggering 1.46 billion people, India is projected to hit $4.19 trillion in GDP by 2025. India's economic strength lies in its tech sector, services, manufacturing, and a rising middle class. Cities like Bangalore are tech hubs, while Bollywood continues to be an entertainment giant that shapes culture far beyond South Asia. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has emphasized economic reforms, infrastructure, and digital innovation to keep India's growth engine roaring. From the rollout of digital payments to massive renewable energy projects, India is pushing to modernize at breakneck speed. Now, while its GDP per capita sits at just under 3K thanks to its huge population, India's sheer size and unstoppable momentum ensure it ranks among the wealthiest nations on Earth, and one of the fastest-growing players shaping the global future. 3. Germany. Region, Europe. Founded, 1871. Federal Republic, May 23, 1949. Projected population, 2025, 83.5 to 84 million. Current leader or head of state, Friedrich Merz. GDP 2025 estimate, 4.74 trillion US dollars. GDP PPP, 55.91 thousand US dollars. Cracking the top 3 is Germany, Europe's largest economy and the industrial backbone of the EU. With 4.74 trillion GDP, Germany is proof that efficiency, engineering, and bratwurst go hand in hand. Known for its automotive industry, engineering, and exports, Germany builds cars the whole world craves: Mercedes, BMW, Audi, Volkswagen, you name it. Add advanced manufacturing, renewable energy, and a skilled workforce, and you get an economy that's both rich and resilient. Under Friedrich Merz, Germany maintains its powerhouse status, balancing tradition with forward-looking policies that keep the nation competitive on a global scale. With GDP PPP at nearly 56K per person, Germans enjoy strong living standards, robust social systems, and a culture that values precision and innovation. Efficiency isn't just a stereotype here, it's an economic philosophy, one that has made Germany the beating heart of Europe's prosperity. 2. China. Region, Asia. Founded October 1st, 1949. Projected population 2025, 1.416 billion. Current leader or head of state, Xi Jinping. GDP 2025 estimate, 19.23 trillion US dollars. GDP PPP, 13.69 thousand US dollars. At number 2, we've got China, the economic dragon that has risen faster than almost any country in modern history. With $19.23 trillion in GDP, China is firmly the world's second largest economy. China's strength, manufacturing, exports, tech innovation, and massive infrastructure projects. From iPhones to solar panels, much of the modern world carries a Made in China label. Led by Xi Jinping, China is also expanding influence globally through projects like the Belt and Road Initiative, building trade networks and strategic partnerships that stretch from Africa to Europe. With over 1.4 billion people, China balances massive domestic demand with global trade dominance, creating an economy that never sleeps. While GDP per capita is lower than in the West, the country's economic scale is unmatched outside the US, and with continuous investment in AI, renewable energy, and space exploration, China is making it clear that its ambitions are aimed at not just catching up, but leading the future.
1. United States of America. Region, North America. Founded July 4th, 1776. Projected population 2025, 340 to 350 million. Current leader, head of state, Donald J. Trump. GDP 2025 estimate, $30.51 trillion. GDP PPP, $89.11 thousand. Finally, sitting on top of the mountain, unsurprisingly, is the United States of America. With a jaw-dropping 30.51 trillion GDP, the US remains the undisputed heavyweight champion of the global economy. From Silicon Valley tech giants to Wall Street finance, Hollywood entertainment, agriculture, aerospace, and military spending, the US economy is a diversified powerhouse. It's not just about making money, it's about setting the rules of the global game. Donald J. Trump returns as president, presiding over a nation that remains the hub of global innovation and influence. With the GDP PPP of 89K per capita, Americans enjoy some of the highest standards of living in the world, backed by an infrastructure of universities, research centers, and industries that constantly push the boundaries of what's possible. The US doesn't just lead economically, it shapes global culture, politics, and trends. Whether it's Apple products in your pocket, Marvel movies dominating your screen, or McDonald's fries on your plate, America is everywhere. And love it or hate it, the American way continues to define how much of the world consumes, creates, and even dreams. And there you have it, the top 10 richest countries in the world by GDP 2025. From Brazil's agricultural might to America's all-encompassing economic dominance, this list shows that wealth isn't evenly distributed, but it sure makes for an interesting scoreboard. Some of these nations thrive on exports, others on innovation, and some simply because of their sheer size. But one thing's for sure, money might not buy happiness, but it definitely buys influence. So which of these countries surprised you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video so more people can join the conversation. Because let's be honest, if we can't all be billionaires, at least we can talk about the countries that run the Trillionaire Club.